In the vast emptiness of space, where countless alien races had carved out their territories, humanity was the new kid on the block. We weren't the strongest, the fastest, or the smartest. But we had something that made us special. We were adaptable, creative, and stubborn as hell. Our story begins on the space station Harmony, a massive structure floating in neutral space where different alien species came to trade, negotiate, and sometimes just gawk at each other. It was here that humans had set up their first off-world embassy, a small but proud collection of rooms that smelled of coffee and echoed with laughter. Lisa Chen, a young diplomat fresh out of Earth Space Academy, walked through Harmony's bustling main corridor. Her eyes were wide with wonder as she took in the sights around her. Tall, spindly aliens with blue skin brushed past her. Short, furry creatures that looked like walking teddy bears waddled by, chittering in their high-pitched language. "Excuse me," Lisa said as she accidentally bumped into a large, gelatinous blob that wobbled indignantly. "Sorry about that." The blob gurgled something that didn't sound very friendly, but Lisa just smiled and kept walking. She was on a mission, after all. Today was her first day as the assistant to the human ambassador, and she didn't want to be late. As she approached the human embassy, Lisa saw a crowd gathered outside. Curious, she pushed her way through to see what was happening. In the center of the crowd stood Ambassador Jack Thompson, a gray-haired man with a friendly face and eyes that twinkled with mischief. "Step right up, folks," Jack called out, his voice booming. "Who wants to try a genuine Earth delicacy?" In his hands, he held a plate piled high with something. Lisa squinted, trying to figure out what it was. Then her eyes widened in disbelief. Cookies. The ambassador was handing out chocolate chip cookies. The aliens were eyeing the treats with a mix of curiosity and suspicion. A tall, insectoid creature with compound eyes leaned forward, its antennae twitching. "What is purpose of this food?" It clicked in broken English. Jack grinned. "Why, it's for eating, of course. And enjoying. Here, try one." He held out a cookie to the insectoid, who delicately took it with one of its many limbs. The alien brought the cookie close to its mandibles, hesitated for a moment, then took a small bite. The effect was immediate. The alien's compound eyes seemed to light up, and its antennae quivered with excitement. This is most pleasing," it chittered. "What do you call this wonder?" "Chocolate chip cookies," Jack said proudly. "An old Earth recipe. Simple, but delicious." The word spread quickly through the crowd. Soon, aliens of all shapes and sizes were clamoring for a taste of this strange human food. Lisa watched in amazement as creatures that had probably never agreed on anything in their lives found common ground in their love for cookies. As the crowd thinned, Jack noticed Lisa standing nearby. He waved her over with a warm smile. "Ah, you must be Lisa. Welcome to Harmony. How do you like your first day so far?" Lisa laughed, gesturing at the diverse group of aliens still munching on cookies. "It's not what I expected, sir. I thought we'd be discussing trade agreements or cultural exchanges, not handing out baked goods." Jack's eyes twinkled. "Oh, we'll get to all that serious stuff, don't you worry. But sometimes, the best way to make friends is through the stomach. Or whatever passes for a stomach in some of these folks." He lowered his voice conspiratorially. "Between you and me, I think we humans have a secret weapon when it comes to interstellar diplomacy." Lisa raised an eyebrow. "Cookies." Jack chuckled. "Close, but not quite. It's comfort food in general. You see, most alien races out here, they've got their nutrition down to a science. Perfectly balanced meals, optimal nutrient intake, all that jazz. But they've forgotten one crucial thing." "What's that?" Lisa asked, intrigued. "Food isn't just about survival. It's about pleasure, about sharing, about making memories." Jack gestured at the aliens still lingering nearby, chatting excitedly about their new discovery. "Look at them. They're not just eating cookies. They're experiencing something new, something that brings them joy. And they're sharing that joy with each other." Lisa nodded slowly, beginning to understand. "So we're not just feeding them. We're teaching them about an aspect of human culture." "Exactly." Jack beamed. "And that's just the beginning. Wait until they try pizza, or ice cream, or a good old-fashioned barbecue. We might not have the most advanced technology or the strongest warriors, but we've got flavors that can unite a whole space station." As if to prove his point, a small, furry alien approached them, holding out its cookie with a hopeful expression. "More," it squeaked. "Please." Jack laughed and handed over another cookie. "See what I mean? Now, let's head inside. We've got a lot to discuss about your new role here." As they walked into the embassy, Lisa felt a surge of excitement. She had come to Harmony expecting to learn about alien cultures, but it seemed she had a lot to teach as well. Who would have thought that humanity's greatest contribution to the galactic community might be something as simple as a chocolate chip cookie? Little did she know, this was just the beginning of humanity's culinary conquest of space. Over the next few weeks, Lisa settled into her role at the human embassy. She quickly learned that life on Harmony was never dull, especially when you worked with Ambassador Jack Thompson. One morning, Lisa arrived at the embassy to find Jack deep in conversation with a group of Zorkon, a species of tall, purple-skinned aliens known for their strict adherence to logic and efficiency. "I still do not understand," the lead Zorkon was saying, its brow furrowed in confusion. "Why would humans intentionally consume substances that alter their mental state and potentially decrease productivity?" Jack grinned, a twinkle in his eye. "Ah, my friend, you're talking about the age-old human tradition of happy hour." Lisa raised an eyebrow. "This ought to be good. You see," Jack continued, "humans work hard, but we also believe in the importance of relaxation and social bonding. Happy hour is a time when we gather after work, share drinks, and unwind together." The Zorkon tilted its head. "But why call it happy hour? Is happiness not a constant state to be maintained for optimal performance?" Jack chuckled. "Well, that's the beauty of it. Sometimes, a little break from optimal performance is exactly what we need to recharge and come back stronger." The Zorkon still looked skeptical, but Jack wasn't done. "Tell you what," he said, clapping his hands together. "Why don't you join us for a human-style happy hour tonight? You might be surprised at what you learn." As the Zorkon delegation left, still muttering among themselves, Lisa approached Jack. "Sir, are you sure this is a good idea? The Zorkon are known for their intensity. Mixing them with alcohol might not end well." Jack winked at her. "Trust me, Lisa. Sometimes the best way to understand a culture is to experience it firsthand. Besides, I have a feeling our purple friends could use a lesson in letting loose." That evening, the human embassy was transformed. Soft lighting replaced the usual harsh fluorescence, and the sound of Earth music filled the air. A makeshift bar had been set up in one corner, stocked with a variety of human beverages. As aliens of various species began to filter in, drawn by curiosity and the promise of free drinks, Lisa couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and anxiety. This could either be a diplomatic breakthrough or an intergalactic incident waiting to happen. The Zorkon arrived precisely on time, looking as stiff and uncomfortable as ever. Jack greeted them warmly, pressing drinks into their hands. "Now, the key is to sip, not gulp," he explained, demonstrating with his own glass. "And remember, the goal isn't to get drunk, but to relax and enjoy each other's company." At first, the Zorkon seemed hesitant, sniffing their drinks suspiciously. But as the night wore on and the atmosphere grew more relaxed, Lisa noticed a change. The Zorkon's rigid postures began to soften. Their voices, usually monotone, took on new inflections. And then, something extraordinary happened. One of the Zorkon, emboldened by a few glasses of wine, approached the karaoke machine that Jack had set up as a joke. The alien studied it for a moment, then picked up the microphone. The opening notes of "I Will Survive" filled the room, and the Zorkon began to sing. Its voice was far from melodious, more of a warbling screech, but it sang with a passion that no one had ever seen from the usually stoic species. The room fell silent for a moment, then erupted in cheers and applause. Other aliens rushed to take their turn, each performance more enthusiastic, if not more tuneful, than the last. Lisa found Jack at the bar, watching the spectacle with a satisfied smile. "I have to hand it to you, sir," she said, shaking her head in amazement. "I never thought I'd see a Zorkon doing karaoke." Jack laughed. "That's the magic of humanity, Lisa. We might not have the most advanced tech or the strongest warriors, but we know how to have a good time. And sometimes, that's exactly what the galaxy needs." As the night wore on, Lisa watched as barriers broke down and new friendships formed. Species that had been at odds for centuries found common ground in their off-key renditions of Earth pop songs. The usually aloof Malorians were teaching the Grax how to do the Macarena. Even the gelatinous blob that Lisa had bumped into on her first day was jiggling along to the beat. In the midst of the chaos, Lisa spotted a familiar face. It was the insectoid alien who had first tried Jack's cookies. It was deep in conversation with a group of other aliens, gesticulating excitedly. Curious, Lisa edged closer to listen. And then they introduced me to something called pizza, the insectoid was saying. It's like a flatbread with various toppings. The combination of flavors is simply extraordinary. The other aliens leaned in, fascinated. Tell us more about human food, one of them urged. Lisa couldn't help but smile. It seemed that Jack's culinary diplomacy was paying off in unexpected ways. As the party began to wind down, Lisa found herself by the window, looking out at the stars. The vastness of space stretched out before her, filled with countless worlds and civilizations. Yet here, in this small corner of the universe, something remarkable was happening. Humans, the newcomers to the galactic stage, were making their mark not through force or advanced technology, but through cookies and karaoke, through laughter and shared experiences. Lisa realized that this was why she had joined the diplomatic corps. Not just to learn about other cultures, but to share the best of humanity with the galaxy. As she turned back to the room, she saw Jack raising his glass for a toast. The diverse crowd of aliens fell silent, all eyes on the human ambassador. "To new friends," Jack called out, his voice carrying across the room, "and to the power of a good party to bring us all together." A cheer went up, glasses clinked, or in some cases, tentacles waved, and Lisa knew that this was just the beginning. Humanity had found its niche in the galactic community, and the adventure was only just starting. Little did they know, their reputation was spreading faster than they could imagine. Across the stars, whispers were beginning to circulate about the strange, friendly species that could turn enemies into friends with nothing more than a plate of cookies and a karaoke machine. And somewhere out there in the vast expanse of space, trouble was brewing. A threat that would put humanity's unique skills to the ultimate test. The next morning, Lisa woke to the sound of urgent knocking on her door. Groggily, she stumbled out of bed and opened it to find a breathless junior aide. "Ms. Chen, Ambassador Thompson needs you in the conference room immediately." "It's an emergency." Fully awake now, Lisa quickly dressed and hurried to the embassy's main conference room. She found Jack there, his usually cheerful face grave as he stared at a holographic display. "What's going on, sir?" Lisa asked, trying to make sense of the swirling data on the screen. Jack turned to her, his eyes serious. "We've got a situation, Lisa. A big one." He gestured to the display. "This is a distress signal from the Arcturian mining colony in the Epsilon sector. They're under attack." Lisa's eyes widened. "Attack? By whom?" "That's the thing," Jack said, frowning. "We don't know. The signal's garbled, but from what we can make out, it's not any known species. Whatever's hit them, it's something new. And nasty." Just then, the door burst open, and a group of alien diplomats rushed in. Lisa recognized the Zorkon ambassador, looking decidedly worse for wear after last night's party, and several others from species she was still learning to identify. "Is it true?" the Zorkon demanded, its usually perfect posture slightly slumped. "The Arcturians are under attack?" Jack nodded grimly. "I'm afraid so. We're still gathering information, but it looks bad." The room erupted into a cacophony of alien voices, each species talking over the others in their native languages. Lisa watched as panic and finger-pointing threatened to overwhelm any chance of a coordinated response. Suddenly, a loud whistle cut through the noise. Everyone turned to see Jack, fingers in his mouth, having just delivered an ear-piercing whistle. "All right, everyone, settle down," he said firmly. "Arguing amongst ourselves isn't going to help the Arcturians. We need to work together on this." The Malorian ambassador, a willowy creature with iridescent skin, spoke up. "But what can we do? The Arcturian system is days away, even at maximum warp. By the time any of our forces arrive, it could be too late." A heavy silence fell over the room as the truth of those words sank in. Lisa looked around at the dejected faces of the alien diplomats, feeling a sense of helplessness wash over her. Then, something caught her eye. In the corner of the room, Almost hidden behind the larger aliens, stood the small, furry creature that had asked for more cookies on her first day. It was bouncing up and down, paw raised as if in school, trying to get attention. Ambassador, Lisa said, tapping Jack on the shoulder. I think someone has an idea. Jack followed her gaze and smiled. Yes, Ambassador Fluffless, you have something to add. The small alien stepped forward, its big eyes serious despite its cuddly appearance. Humans have ship near Arcturian system, yes? Big ship, many humans. We saw when arriving at Harmony. Jack's eyes widened in realization. The generation ship. Of course. He turned to the others, excitement building in his voice. The Galileo, one of our generation ships, is passing through a nearby sector. They're on a long-term exploration mission, but they're the closest help we've got. The Zorkon ambassador frowned. But generation ships are not warships. They are designed for extended space travel and colonization, not combat. Jack's eyes twinkled with that familiar mischief. Maybe not, but they're full of humans. And if there's one thing humans are good at, it's improvising. He turned to Lisa. Get me a comm link to the Galileo, fastest speed possible. We've got a colony to save. As Lisa worked to establish the connection, Jack addressed the gathered aliens. Friends, I know we're all worried, but this is a chance to show what we can do when we work together. The Galileo will need all the support we can give them. One by one, the alien ambassadors nodded, determination replacing fear on their diverse faces. Finally, the holo display flickered, and a new face appeared. Captain Sarah Chen, no relation to Lisa, looked out at them, her expression curious. Ambassador Thompson, she said, this is an unexpected call. What can we do for you? Jack quickly explained the situation. As he spoke, Captain Chen's expression grew serious. A rescue mission? Ambassador, with all due respect, we're not equipped for this kind of operation. The Galileo is a civilian vessel. Jack nodded. I understand, Captain. But you're the only hope the Arcturians have. We're not asking you to fight a war. Just be human. Use that incredible adaptability and creativity your species is known for. Captain Chen was quiet for a moment, then a small smile played at the corners of her mouth. Well, when you put it that way. All right, Ambassador. We'll do what we can. But we'll need all the help and information you can give us. For the next few hours, the conference room was a hive of activity. Alien ambassadors reached out to their governments, securing promises of support and resources. The Zorkon offered the use of their advanced sensor technology to help the Galileo locate the Arcturian colony. The Malorians provided star charts of the region, including shortcuts through little-known spatial anomalies. Lisa found herself coordinating it all, fielding questions, relaying information, and somehow keeping everyone on task. It was exhausting, exhilarating work. As the Galileo approached the Arcturian system, tension in the conference room reached a fever pitch. The holo display showed the massive generation ship, nearly a kilometer long, moving into orbit around the dusty mining planet. We've got visual on the attackers, Captain Chen reported, her voice tight. They appear to be some kind of giant space amoebas? They're latched onto the main colony dome, trying to breach it. The alien ambassadors muttered among themselves. None had ever encountered such a species before. What's your plan, Captain? Jack asked. Captain Chen's face was grim but determined. We're going to have to get creative. These creatures seem to be drawn to energy sources. We're going to rig up a massive EMP device, try to draw them away from the colony. Then, well, we've got 10,000 colonists on board who've been cooped up for months. I think it's time we introduced these amoebas to the concept of a food fight. Lisa blinked in surprise. A food fight? Captain Chen grinned. We've been growing all sorts of crops in our hydroponic bays. Now we're loading them into our waste disposal cannons. Let's see how these amoebas like a face full of synthesized sauerkraut. The next hour was tense as the Galileo put its plan into action. The EMP pulse lit up the Arcturian sky, drawing the attention of the space amoebas. As they approached the ship, expecting an easy meal, they were met instead with a barrage of high-velocity vegetables. To everyone's amazement, it worked. The amoebas, confused and disoriented by the unfamiliar assault, began to retreat. A cheer went up in the conference room as they watched the strange creatures disappear into the depths of space. But the danger wasn't over yet. The colony's dome had been damaged in the attack, and its atmospheric containment was failing. Without a way to repair it quickly, the colonists would be doomed. "We need a way to patch that hole fast," Captain Chen said, frustration evident in her voice. "But we don't have any materials that would withstand the pressure differential." There was a moment of silence, then a quiet voice spoke up. It was the insectoid alien, the one who had first tried Jack's cookies. "Perhaps we do," it said hesitantly. All eyes turned to it. "The treats you call taffy. When heated, it becomes most pliable, yet hardens quickly in cold. Could this not serve as a temporary patch?" For a moment, everyone stared at the insectoid in disbelief. Then Jack began to laugh. "By God, that's brilliant! Captain Chen, do you have any taffy on board?" The captain looked bewildered but nodded. "We have a small confectionery for special occasions. But how are we going to apply it?" Jack turned to the Malorian ambassador. "Your people are resistant to extreme temperatures, right? And you can survive in vacuum for short periods." The Malorian's iridescent skin shimmered as it realized what Jack was suggesting. Yes, we could do this. We would need to move quickly, but it is possible." What followed was perhaps the strangest rescue operation in galactic history. Malorian volunteers, clad in special suits designed on the spot by the Zorkon, spacewalked to the colony dome. There, using giant spatulas hastily fabricated in the Galileo's 3D printers, they applied massive globs of superheated taffy to the cracks in the dome. As the taffy cooled in the vacuum of space, it hardened into a surprisingly effective seal. It wasn't pretty, and it certainly wasn't a permanent solution, but it bought the colonists the time they needed. Hours later, with relief ships from various alien races arriving to help with repairs and evacuation, the crisis was finally over. In the conference room on Harmony, exhausted diplomats slumped in their seats, the weight of their achievement just beginning to sink in. Jack looked around the room, a proud smile on his face. "Well, folks," he said, "I'd say this calls for a celebration. Who's up for a pizza party?" The response was unanimous and enthusiastic. As Lisa helped organize the impromptu party, she couldn't help but reflect on the events of the past day. Humanity had faced its first major galactic crisis, and they had solved it not with advanced weapons or technology, but with junk food, improvised tools, and a whole lot of creativity. More than that, they had brought together a diverse group of alien species, each contributing their unique strengths to the solution. It wasn't just a victory for humanity, it was a victory for cooperation and innovation. The story of the Great Taffy Patch, as it quickly became known, spread rapidly through the galaxy. Humanity, already gaining a reputation for its unique approach to diplomacy, now found itself hailed as innovators in crisis management. In the weeks that followed, the human embassy was flooded with requests. Everyone wanted to learn more about human culture, to understand the mindset that could turn candy into a life-saving tool. Jack and Lisa found themselves busier than ever, organizing cultural exchanges, cooking classes, and yes, more parties. But more importantly, they saw a change in how aliens interacted with each other. Species that had once been coldly logical or fiercely independent were now more open to collaboration, more willing to think outside the box. One evening, as Lisa was preparing to leave the embassy after another long day, she found Jack standing by the window, looking out at the stars. "Quite a view, isn't it?" he said as she approached. Lisa nodded. "It's amazing. Sometimes I still can't believe we're out here, among the stars." Jack smiled. "You know, when humanity first ventured into space, we thought we were behind. Every alien race we met seemed more advanced, more established. We thought we'd have to play catch-up." He turned to Lisa, his eyes twinkling. "But now I think we were wrong about that. We weren't behind at all. We were just bringing something different to the table. Something the galaxy didn't even know it needed." Lisa thought about the events of the past weeks, the cookies that had broken the ice, the karaoke that had built bridges, the taffy that had saved lives. "The human touch," she said softly. Jack nodded. "Exactly. We're teaching the galaxy how to loosen up, how to think creatively, how to find joy in the little things. And in doing so, we're making it a better place." As they stood there, watching the myriad alien ships come and go from the station, Lisa felt a sense of excitement for the future. Humanity had found its place among the stars, not by conquering or overwhelming, but by sharing, adapting, and bringing people together. The galaxy was changing, one cookie, one song, one crazy idea at a time. And humanity was leading the way. As if to punctuate the thought, a group of aliens walked by, animatedly discussing plans for something called an intergalactic bake-off. Lisa and Jack shared a grin. The human touch was here to stay, and the adventure was just beginning.